as a rookie, but he's not really a rookie. He's been figuring out how to catch fish in the Northeast for the last long time. And a lot of guys that fish the weekend tournament circuits in the Northeast say things under their breath when they see him backing down the ramp to launch their boat because they know they're fishing for second place. And Joe's a good friend of mine for many years, and hope you guys enjoy him. He's going to give you some Northeast insights to catch fish on the waters we fish. So without any more of my chatter, Joe Sancho.
How's everybody doing, all right? All right, let me just give you a little background about myself. George said it a little bit. I've been fishing club tournament. I started fishing club tournament when I was 15 years old and moved up through the ranks. I've been doing this for like 30 years. So last year I finally decided to fish the Northern Opens, and my first year out I qualified to fish the Elites. So with that being said, we made the jump. We got some sponsorship on board, and we're going to try to do the whole trail this year and represent the Northeast, New York, and the whole 9 yards the best as we can. So that's where we're at right now. Talk a little bit about fishing today. I guess everybody pretty much is familiar with the river here. Is that where everybody fishes? Susquehanna, pretty much? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go over a little bit drop shots and stuff like that with you, because that's one technique that I think we don't expand enough on. It's just a fish catching technique. That's all I mean. This is pretty much my rig right here. 6.5 foot rod, medium heavy action, drop shot weight, and that's it. A nose hook worm. And this is a bubble and shaker by Optimum Baits, Rains actually, and it's just one bait I've won a lot of money on. That's all I can tell you, man. It's a fish catching son of a gun. So we'll go with that and start off with that. Basically, what I like to tell people is there's 3 types of bites. There's an aggressive bite where when you throw out there, bam, you get that fish that really hammers it. And then you get the bite that's a reaction bite. You know, you're throwing a jerk bait or something like that, spinner bait, and the fish sees come back and grab it. And then you get what I call the mosquito bite. It's a mosquito bite. Well, you ever been sitting in your back porch and you're drinking a beer or something like that, and the mosquito comes by and what do? Gun, you know, swat at it. 9 out of 10 times you don't get them, but you keep swatting at it. That's what this does. This puts it right in front of their face. And I'll try to put it on the table here. And it's just doing that. See how it's shaking? Just with you can see it barely shaking its rod. It's just moving around, shaking, doing its thing. It's just annoying to them. They can't stand it, especially smallmouth. They have to eat it. So that's why I call it a mosquito, because it's just like that mosquito bothering you. You're trying to go to sleep or something like that. You know, you gotta swat it. So that's the same type of fishing. So basically, what I like to do is talk a little bit about deep water. I fish this. I've caught fish out of 100 feet of water already on Lake George. A lot of people think I'm nuts or not. I did a video with it on. I've caught them 100 feet in Lake George. It all has to do with where the bait fish is. Wherever the bait fish are, it's where the fish are going to be. On Lake George, it's a distinctive lake that's clear water, and it has a thermal climb. And the thermal climb is normally around 60, 70 feet. And those bait fish are normally primarily shad and I'm trying to think of the other. Smelt hang out below the thermal climb. So that bait fish is in 60, 70 feet of water, and a smallmouth are underneath it. That's key. You have to find where the bait fish is. You can have the best tree in the world. If there's no bait fish around there's no bass. They got to eat. They're just like us. That's why they're there for. They're there to eat. So, what I look for when I'm fishing deep water, I like to tell everybody, you look for on your electronics what they call the lasagna. It's just layers. You'll see the bottom, you'll see layers like this. Looks like a lasagna. And that's the fish holding right off the bottom. What they're doing is just hanging around the bait fish. And pretty much you look for something like that. And when I fish a drop shot, I'm not casting. What I'm doing is I'm just doing little pitches like this. And that's it. I'm fishing basically from here to maybe a little bit past that one shelf there, and just going like this. I'm I'm letting it sit on the bottom, and most of the time I'm doing nothing. I'm just letting it sit there and doing its thing. It's in there, it's moving around. Like I said, those fish, they gotta get it. They gotta get it because it's annoying. It's just sitting there, and that's all I do. Just little pitches like that. Now you can cast it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm fishing close. I'm like pitching or flipping, but I'm doing it with a spinning rod and 40, 50 feet of water. So that's pretty much, you know, how I approach it as far as casting and stuff like that. What do you look for? What do you look for? I told everybody earlier, a flat is a flat is a flat. A flat, what I mean by whether you're in 2 feet of water or you're in 30 feet of water. It's just a flat that has something on it that attracts the fish. And it's close by structure. There's a drop off, there's a point, there's a ridge, there's something close by that those fish hang out when they're inactive, and they come up on a flat, and all they're doing is they're cruising looking for the bait fish. They're coming around, and there may be a shell bed, a little rock pile or something. That's what they're going to hold on. But they're up there for one reason and one reason only, it's to eat. They don't care. When they want to go hang out, they go hang out on the drop off, 50, 60 feet of water. But that flat that's in 35 feet of water, they're up there cruising, and that's why I say a flat is a flat, because largemouth do the same thing. They're in 10 feet of water, or they're in 2 foot where the weed flat is, and they're cruising the weed flat. When you catch them up on frogs and stuff on the weed flat, or when they're inactive, you try to back off and go to deep water. So, fish will relate to flat no matter where you are, impoundment, reservoir, you name it. You know, the river here's got a lot of current, but you find a flat with an eddy on it or something like that. Rock piles, shell beds are huge out on the river. You ever find a shell bed? Those are huge. That's what attracts the fish. That's what holds in there. And it holds the bait fish. That's what they're there for. They're there to eat. Just like us, you know, the golden arches, man, that just attracts us, right? You see them McDonald's? We gotta go, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? So, you know, it's the same thing to them. A flat just attracts fish. So, when you get out there, that's what you want to start looking for. When you start driving around, and if you're in the boat, whatever, you're looking at your graph, you're like, there's nothing here, this is just flat water. Yeah, well, that's what you need to be. A lot of people look at it because they just think there's no, you know, don't get me wrong, you'll see drop-offs and they're on the drop-offs, but they're on that flat someplace feeding. And as long as you have the bait fish and you start finding that lasagna, like I say, or balls of bait fish, that's another key. You see just a ball, like besides your hand or something like that, that's just bait fish down here. Smallmouth, largemouth, it doesn't make a difference. They're not going to be too far behind. Because when those fish start getting a little squirrely or something, boom, that triggers them to start biting, and that's what they do. The weight. This is probably like a 3/8 tungsten. What I normally do when I'm deep water fishing, and when I say deep water, I'm talking over 20 feet, I use anywhere from 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce drop shot. The heavier the better. And the reason why is, first of all, when I'm fishing big water, I want this bait to get down as fast as possible to where the fish are at. And the heavy weight will tell me exactly what's on there. It tells me a transition period where you may have a clay bottom, all of a sudden you get a little rough, a little rock, something. I can feel that with that heavy weight. I know immediately I'm getting ready to get bit. Oh, I'm in the right area, you know what I'm saying? So that's another thing I look for. Another thing is the bait fish. Up here in the Northeast, huge perch. Perch is probably your #1 bait fish in all these places, Lake Champlain, Thousand Islands, Lake Erie. Perch is #1. And perch come up in big groups, and the smallmouth, largemouth, that's what they eat. That's their #1. We don't have shad like these other lakes down south, Tennessee shad, or all these other American shad and stuff like that. We don't have that here. We got bluegill and perch, and that's what you got to target. If you go by a dock and you see bluegill and you see action, there's going to be a fish close by, I guarantee it. Because those bluegill are attracting, they're coming up there eating little bugs, it's a food chain. And behind them is a bass. So, you pretty much look for the bait. And up here in the Northeast, it's perch and bluegill. Another big time bait is gobies. If you're ever on one of these deep water impoundments, gobies were brought in from some tugboats or whatever, and they were only about that big. But they, at first they thought they were going to harm everything. They wound up cleaning up the water and really being good. So when you're fishing a drop shot, you're out there, what happens? Perch do this all the time too, and gobies, you're out there and all of a sudden you feel the machine gun. Pop, 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 pop. And you go set the hook and you get nothing. Pop, pop, Papa, he said something, you get nothing. Man, what was that? It's the perch. They can't eat that whole bait, but they can grab the tail and go like this. Exactly. What you have to do is do nothing. Let that perch mess around with that. 'Cause what happens is, one perch, two perch, they'll surround it like a ball, and they'll come like a pack of wolves. One will come in here and attack it, the next one, and the next one. Well, Mr. Smallmouth and Largemouth are just swimming around there going, whoa, what's going on over there? And then next thing you know, the perch bite will go away. You won't feel this no more. You're like, oh, let me reel in. No, don't reel in. Just hold on. What happens is that those fish that were around that bait have just scattered, got out of there because the smallmouth, the predator that's coming to eat them, is there. And what's left? Good old Mr. Drop Shot. And I can't tell you how many fish I catch like that. And I get it all the time with my co-anglers and stuff. Oh man, I just missed a fish. Oh man, I just missed a fish. I'm like, all right, cool, we're gonna catch him now. He's yanking on the perch. He's perch pulling, is what I call it. He's perch pulling, and I know if I leave my bait there and I don't bother with it. Again, now you know when a bass hits it solid and you got weight. A perch, it's just that machine gun I call it, just like that. And they'll come up and they'll eat that bait and be like, oh man, I just missed one. You didn't miss one. That's a perch, and that's a good thing. He's there trying to eat your bait. That's going to attract the largemouth or smallmouth that's out there and they just cruise around. Smallmouths are known for it. They come up in packs and they just cruise around and they'll see what's going on and boom, they go right over there. It's just, that's what they have to do. So that's another great thing to do. Is if you ever feel perch or bluegill do the same thing. White perch, they all do it. They all get on your bait and they're annoying, but if you can try to avoid setting the hook, you're eventually going to catch a largemouth or smallmouth that are around. So that's pretty much the Drop Shot. A little rundown on that for you. The length, deep water I use 2 hands. 1, 2. Shallow water, 1. That's the way I keep it.
How do you get your hook on?
I'm going to show you that now. I'll retie one for you.
Is that mono? Your fish? Mono?
This is fluorocarbon. I tie fluorocarbon straight to braid. Because on a spinning gear, you get tangles. This way, I mean, I got a little bit short leader, but I'll use a little bit longer leader, and you can always just cut it and retie it.
Strictly fluorocarbon. Everything.
Well, I got the backing on here is braid,
Great.
and then a fluorocarbon leader. And it's, this braid doesn't twist. Fluorocarbon, any kind of other material.
How long the break?
Well, I just bring, huh?
How long a leader?
Yeah.
Well, the leader itself, or how long on the rod?
How long a leader?
Okay, the leader is 2 hands full, like I told you before.
No, he means from the knot to the.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said. From the knot up, it's just like 2 wraps around the spool. That's all you need. It's not much, because you're gonna cut and retie, and then you don't mind if it gets, you're fishing throughout the day like this. I'll change it 2 or 3 times because how much line am I missing? 12 foot of line. You know what I'm saying? You can buy a spool that lasts you all year at this point because you're not using it all the time. Yeah, I'll show you everything right now. No, I'm going to show you how I tie it onto the braid. So, let's do that first. The braid to the mono or fluorocarbon in this I think this knot's called the Crazy Alberta. That's what I think it's called. Put one right here.